Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. It's me, Zio, in case you can't tell with the mask. Welcome back to the wrestling podcast, to the Turnbuckle. I forget which episode this is, don't quote me on that, but I've got some interesting news coming from.
Episode 6.
Right, episode 6. So, I got some interesting news coming from Triple H. I got some of last week's, as well as the, past two pay-per-views. I'm gonna go over those. And yeah, so let's jump right into it with the news. Coming from Triple H himself, the previous pay per view that came on this Saturday in Saudi Arabia was the King and Queen of the Ring. The winners of those matches now have a guaranteed championship match at SummerSlam. Speaking of SummerSlam, Triple H made another announcement. In 2026, Minneapolis, Minnesota will be hosting SummerSlam for 2 nights. A 2 night event. I'm guessing to make up for not being able to land WrestleMania. Um, they were in a bidding for it. They lost the bid. They weren't getting it. So I'm guessing this is how Triple H is gonna fix that. SummerSlam. That's in 2026. So we got about a year between then. This year SummerSlam will be held in Cleveland, Ohio. Next year's no news about it yet. We are gonna go back to Riyadh. I probably butchered that, but we are going back to Saudi Arabia for Crown Jewel this November. So keep you guys updated with that. Now let's talk about the last two pay-per-views and this past week's shows. So starting with Backlash 2024. Oh, that's right. Actually, my mistake. Before we get further into that one, another thing Triple H has been quoted as saying, well, not quoted as saying, but I've heard through the vines, is that he's gonna be keeping the pay-per-views or the premium live events at 5 matches. So it's not gonna be that many matches. I wish they would do a little bit more, add some more storylines to go through, but other than that, let's get into it. So Backlash 2024, its grade was an S plus. The first match of the night was a tag team match, which ended in a double countout due to Kevin Owens and Randy Orton taking on the Bloodline of Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. It ended in a no contest because they would not stop fighting outside the ring. So Nick Aldis came out and restarted the match as a street fight. The Bloodline ended up winning that match. I believe that was thanks to Tonga Loa. I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. But Tama Tonga's brother came out and has now aligned himself with Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. The next match of the night was a triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship between Tiffany Stratton, Bayley, and Naomi. Bayley won that match. It was a hard-fought victory. Got an S. The previous match was an S+. Next, you had the World Heavyweight Championship match between Jey Uso and Damian Priest. After some interference from the not Bloodline. Sorry, I'm used to saying that. After some interference from the Judgment Day, Damian Priest was able to pick up the win. Then you had the Women's Tag Team Championships, which was the Kabuki Warriors taking on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are your new and current Women's Tag Team Champions. That is an S. And the main event of the night was for the WWE Championship. It was Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles, with Cody Rhodes obviously getting the win. That was an S, so Backlash was pretty good this year. Moving on to this past week's Raw. Sami Zayn would start off this week's Raw, talking about his upcoming match this past Saturday for his Intercontinental Championship, a triple threat match. During the first match, a QR code popped up. I was able to scan it. Scanning it, it would reveal a short test after which different bubbles would pop up. I found that on, and this is going out much later, but on the 22nd of May on WhatsApp, we got different pictures posted on WWE's WhatsApp. We got a surprise backstage segment with Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and a returning Sonya Deville. Another backstage segment was Raw's latest acquisition, Lyra Valkyrie, Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. We got one with Bronson Reed, Sami Zayn, and Otis. Becky Lynch had another in-ring segment talking about their hers and Liv's upcoming match. And then, yeah, there was not much to talk about. That was pretty much it. So, in terms of matches for that night, the first match was Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable. Chad Gable won thanks to the help of Otis. It was an A-. Next match was a squash match between Braun Breaker and an NXT runner-up, I believe, called Kale Dixon. B+, because I hate squash matches. Then we had the Queen of the Ring tournament semifinals, Lyra Valkyria versus Io Sky. Lyra Valkyria won her match, so she participated in the Queen of the Ring finals on Saturday. Next, you had the World Tag Team Championship match between Awesome Truth and Judgment Day. Judgment Day's Finn Balor and JD McDonough. Awesome Truth won. It was an A+. Then you had a Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team Championship Contenders match with Baszler and Stark getting the win out of Damage Control, Ivy Nile, Maxine Dupree, Kaden Carter, and Katana Chance. The main event of the night was the King of the Ring tournament semifinals. It was Jey Uso versus Gunther. Jey Uso had taken the place of Drew McIntyre. Gunther won, so he went off to the finals. Let's go to this past SmackDown. The first segment of the night was a Grayson Waller effect with Austin Theory and special guest LA Knight, although Carmelo Hayes would take the place of LA Knight, but not for long. The segment that happened later on down the night would be Cody Rhodes, but Logan Paul, again, for their match at Saudi Arabia, would interrupt. The matches of the night. The first match was a Queen of the Ring tournament semifinals between Bianca Belair and Nia Jax. Nia Jax getting the win. Then the next match was a 6-man tag match between LA Knight and the Street Profits taking on Carmelo Hayes and A-Town Down Under. Knight and Profits getting the win. Then you had Bayley versus Chelsea Green. Just a normal match. Bayley won, obviously. It was a B match, honestly. Then you had, for the main event, the King of the Ring tournament semifinals with Randy Orton taking on Tama Tonga. And after a grueling and hard-fought match, Randy Orton surprisingly came out on top. Going to the tournament finals, he would be going on to face Gunther. And that brings us to King of the Ring this past Saturday. So the first match of the night was a Women's World Heavyweight Championship match between Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. Dominic Mysterio ended up coming out, confusing all members on ringside, including commentary. But it would end up backfiring as he was trying to help Becky, but ended up helping Liv Morgan win and get the title. So he now, the person that injured his mommy, Rhea Ripley, now has her title. That was an S of a match. Next match was the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. It was Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed. This match had me on the edge of my seat. It was hard-hitting. Bronson Reed can fly as big as he is, as big, like, he's as big or maybe a bit smaller than me, but man can he fly. I was not expecting a lot of his moveset. He's gotten some respect for me from that. Uh, all in all, Sami Zayn came up on top to retain his title. Next match was the Queen of the Ring Tournament Finals between Lyra Valkyria of Monday Night Raw and SmackDown's Nia Jax. After dominating majority of the match, Lyra tried to fight back against Nia, but in the end, a surprise splash from the middle rope. I don't know what it's called. I forgot what her finish is called. Nia Jax would win Queen of the Ring. I gave that match an A+. It wasn't really that good. Next match, you had the King of the Ring Tournament Finals between Gunther and Randy Orton. This was a hard-hitting match. Randy Orton's chest was beat red. And that's hard to do. But with his back and knee problems, he wasn't able to put Gunther away. So Gunther won King of the Ring. Although it looked like it was kind of controversial, as I had noticed, as well as Corey Graves had noticed, that when Gunther pinned Randy Orton on his shoulders, one part of his shoulders was not touching the mat, but the 3 count was still there. So maybe they'll do something about that. The main event of the night was the WWE Championship match between Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul. Now, I know some of you are thinking, well, Logan Paul's the US champion. How come both titles are on the line? He had his own lawyer write up a new contract where it was only Cody Rhodes' title on the line, which I actually liked. I didn't want Cody Rhodes to have 2 titles. I didn't want Logan to have 2 titles. So my thought process was either an Uncle Howdy thing's gonna happen, or like the new Wyatt 6 or Wyatt 5 would come out and interfere in the match, costing one of them the match. We didn't get that, unfortunately. Cody Rhodes did end up having a clean win. He hit 3 crossroads to end a match after Logan Paul tried using brass knuckles. He snuck a second pair in. But yeah, some crazy spots on that show too. Cody Rhodes was laying on the Saudi's announcer table. Logan jumped from the rope onto a frog splash, threw him right back in the ring, and double tapped him with another 5-star frog splash. But still couldn't put Rhodes away in the end. That was an S+ of a match. So King of the Ring got an S tier. We also had a pre-show match, the Women's Tag Team Championship match between Bianca Belair, Bianca and Jade Cargill taking on Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Bianca and Jade won. It was an A+, and yeah. So that was it for wrestling news this week. Make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah. I forget how I do these outros. I'll remember next time, but I believe it went something like always kick out before the 3 count.